You can make your play in half an hour, but first he's as big a Latin heartthrob as his dad. But what does Enrique Iglesias like to play?
Orange playlist. Life's better when it's set to music.
He's a sexy Spanish heartthrob who just wants to be your hero. As a child, he kept his passion for music hidden, but since then has stepped out of the shadow of his superstar father and gone on to sell over 40 million albums worldwide. He's been connected with some of the world's most beautiful women, but what is the music that shaped the life and loves of this Latino heartthrob? Today, the Orange Playlist welcomes none other than Mr. Enrique Iglesias.
It's amazing what fame can do. It truly is. It can really change your sex life. What, is that small? Oh, fuck, then I'm really small. I'm completely fucked.
I was 5 and he was 6. We rode on horses made of sticks. He wore black and I wore white. He would always win the fight, bang, bang.
Enrique, welcome to the Orange Playlist.
Thank you.
It's lovely to have you here. Now, you're a worldwide megastar. You've always been around music. Your dad is Julio Iglesias, obviously. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Madrid, Spain, till I was 8 years old. Then I moved to Miami, the U.S.
Oh, and why the move when you were 8?
My grandfather actually was kidnapped when I was 8 years old.
Who kidnapped him?
It's ETA, which is a terrorist group out of coming from Spain, from the north. So my mom freaked out, and my brother and I moved to Miami. With my parents were divorced, with my father.
Did it sort of scare you as a little boy?
Obviously, I was very afraid for my grandfather, but after that, it felt like an adventure. I remember perfectly. We're surrounded by tons of police and helicopters. It was pretty crazy, and I think the FBI was waiting for us because, you know, this is a big terrorist group, so it was pretty chaotic.
Where did you grow up? What was the sort of dynamics of the family?
I grew up with 3 sisters and 1 brother. I was kind of like I don't want to say the black sheep, but I was always a bad one, the one that always would get in trouble. I remember when I was a little kid, we used to have this dog, like these big hair, I mean, they're not very big, but very hairy.
Yeah.
And I had one of these, what do you call those things that have the fire, like you use in the...
Like a sparkler thing?
A sparkler thing, and I threw it. But not just to scare the dog.
You set the dog on fire.
And it got stuck in the dog's hair. And the dog caught on fire. And the worst part about it is that the dog was running all over the house, and I was trying to follow the dog, and the hair just caught on fire, so half of the dog was burnt, you know, and I got grounded for like 3 months. But the dog lived. I mean, don't get me wrong, it didn't, but it smelled like shit, you know, because it smelled like burned hair, and I felt so bad.
So what was your life like in Miami?
It's completely different, you know, the States to Europe or Spain. It was a completely different lifestyle. You had to adapt, new language, new friends. But I'm one of those persons that I believe that things happen for a reason, and I think in this case, moving to America just influenced me in so many ways, especially musically. It almost feels to me like the 80s had the mega artists, the artists that, I don't know if it's because I was younger, but I do feel like there were those iconic albums and those iconic artists that just were bigger than life. You know, the Tina Turners, the Madonnas, the Michael Jacksons. If you really look at the 80s era, the albums that were created during that time were absolutely amazing. Anything from Thriller to Joshua Tree to Brothers in Arms. Great, great albums.
What were you like at school?
I wasn't a good student. I would always get by. I would do a little bit of cheating once in a while. We all do a little bit of cheating. But I think I had, like, in a way, ADD, and could never focus in my studies. I would get back home and I would write songs, and I noticed that I could write songs for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours in a row, and I wouldn't get bored. I would actually focus.
What were your songs about?
But anything, whether it was talking about my parents, whether it was talking about the crush I had on the girl in my English class, whatever it was, I would write about, and it really helped me. It really did.
When did you start getting interested in girls?
When you're a little kid, I remember when I was maybe 8, 9, 10, you know, your first boner.
When you were 8?
I'm kidding, I shouldn't.
You're
Can
not.
I say that?
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember when I got my first boner, actually.
I didn't actually ask that.
I know, but that's, you know, I'm kidding. That sounds stupid.
Now, it's time for your past track, please, Enrique.
Yeah.
What have you gone for?
My past track, I'm gonna go with The Police.
Which one?
Every Breath You Take.
Why have you gone for that?
I went for that because when I was 7 years old, I got sent away to camp. I was in the smallest cabin. I think there must have been like maybe 20 kids in my cabin. And we had a counselor, and the counselor must have been like 16, 17. And all he did all day was smoke a lot of weed, and he would listen to The Police. Their music just completely grew on me, and it became one of my favorite bands.
Every breath you take, and every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you.
Have you ever met Sting?
I met him a few times, and about maybe 6 months ago, I'm a big Billy Joel fan too, and a lot of his band members play with me. And I went to go eat dinner with Billy Joel, and Billy told me that, tonight, you know, Sting is going to come and join us.
Wow. What do you chat about when you're having dinner with them two?
You know, girls, drugs, typical thing. I don't want to ask him like the typical fan questions. I wish I could.
You should.
I know, but I don't want to bother them. Can you imagine they're eating dinner, and right when they're about to stick a piece of meat in their mouth, I'm like, hey, so why'd you write that song? It was just to be with them and hang out with them and be able to have a conversation with them. It was amazing. The minute I saw him on stage, I felt like I truly wanted to know what that would feel like.
When they begin, they begin.
Your dad is Julio Iglesias. When were you first aware of how big your dad was?
I remember touring with my father in Europe. I would spy, I would learn, I would watch his every move. I always used to think, you know, you're in the audience and there's this adrenaline going through you. And I always used to think, if I'm in the audience and I feel this hyped up, I can only imagine what it must feel like to be on stage.
All the girls we've loved before.
What were you around? What did you see?
I saw the groupies, the sex.